Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, delegates, and participants, Namaste and a very good morning. I am Samriddhi, your host for the event today. I am a senior researcher and program manager at Nepal Institute for Policy Research, NIPoRe. On behalf of the team at NIPoRe, I'm very happy to welcome you to the launch of the second edition of Nepal Competitiveness Index NCI, a flagship initiative of NIPoRe developed in collaboration with the researchers at the Asia Competitiveness Institute at the Kuan School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore. NCI is a biannual publication that aims to promote federalism in Nepal by supporting the competitiveness of the 7 provinces and helping the key policy stakeholders in Nepal and outside to better understand the competitiveness of Nepal's provincial governments. Thus, it aims to formulate more realistic plans and policies for more equitable and decentralized economic development. With this brief summary, I would like to request all our guests to take their respective seats and request Mr. Jayajang Mahat, co-founder and director of NIPoRe, to chair today's event. Today, as we circulated in the program schedule placed at your tables, there are 2 sessions in the program. In the first session, Mr. Jayajang Mahat, co-founder and director of NIPoRe, will provide the welcome remarks. Then we are honored to have Mr. Bambadur Mishra, Deputy Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, as our chief guest, who will provide the opening remarks for the event. Followed by the remarks, we have a video message by Professor Paul Cheng, Director of Asia Competitiveness Institute. We will then call upon Julia Satubhadracharya, Fellow at NIPoRe, who is also a part of the research team for NCI 2024, to present the findings of the report. After the presentation, we shall call upon our speakers to launch the publication. The launch will be followed by a short 10 minutes break before beginning the second session. You can collect the hard copies of NCI 2024 at the registration desk during the break. In the second session, we have 4 eminent speakers who will provide their remarks on 4 themes that the NCI report has covered. The session will last for an hour, with each speaker speaking for 10 to 12 minutes each. On the speakers of the second session, we have Mr. Rameshwar Khanal, former Finance Secretary of Government of Nepal, who will provide his remarks on macroeconomic stability. Our second speaker is Her Excellency Dr. Danielle Meoli with us, who will provide her remarks on quality of life and infrastructure development. We also have Mr. Gajendra Budatoki, Editor-in-Chief at Toxer Economic Magazine, as our third speaker, who will provide his remarks on financial, businesses and manpower conditions. Our fourth speaker is Dr. Kalpana Khanal, Senior Research Fellow at Policy Research Institute, who will provide her remarks on government and institutional setting. The second session will mark its end with concluding remarks from Santosh Sharma Paudel, co-founder of NIPoRe. Now I'd like to call upon Jayajang Mahat for his opening note.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your valuable time to attend our program. So again, the National Nepal Competitiveness Institute, we have tried to check and track how 7 provinces of Nepal are performing across different economic indicators, which we have conceptualized back in 2019, especially after Nepal went for federal governance system. So since then we have been tracking different indicators and parameters for each of the provinces. We published our first report in 2022, where we have tried to identify some of the parameters in addition to political and other governance issues. So how provinces are performing across economic indicators, and what could be done specifically in which areas they can invest more time and resources to make their performance even better. So the document that we are releasing today, Nepal Competitiveness Index 2024, is the follow-up to the previous document. So back in 2022, we tried to see the data from 2018 and 2019, and in this year's report, we have looked at the data from 2020 and 2021. So from now onwards, we have data from 4 years to see how 7 provinces are performing across different indicators and environment for 4 years. And with this report, Nepal Institute for Policy Research and Asia Competitiveness Institute, we believe that the key policy stakeholders, planners and administrators, they would find it helpful for them to track the development stages of 7 provinces and try to see in which of the specific areas they can make necessary intervention to boost the overall performance of their provinces. So that is the overall objective of Nepal Competitiveness Index. Moving forward, we will be publishing the document biannually, so that means once in 2 years, taking reference of data from 2 years and try to see how provinces fare across years and across different environment and indicators. So with this, I would like to thank you again for joining us, giving us your valuable time to attend our program. Thank you.
Like directly you mentioned and laid out the context of the report. Now we would like to call upon stage our chief guest, respected Deputy Governor Bagmati Mishra, to come to the podium and provide his opening remarks.
Namaskar. Good morning. Yes, कार्यक्रममा उपस्थित Her Excellency Daniel, Ambassador of Switzerland, Ramsar Khanal, Purva Sachiju, Dr. Kalpana Khanal, Senior Research Fellow, Policy Research Institute, Gajendra Pratnikidai, Chief Editor of Structure Magazine, friends from media, युवराज सर हुनुहुन्थ्यो उपस्थित सम्पूर्णमा मेरो हार्दिक नमस्कार नेपाल राष्ट्रपतिको तर्फबाट हार्दिक नमस्कार distinguished guests ladies and gentlemen I am highly privileged to address this crucial moment of releasing a key document for us Nepal Competitiveness Index 2024 my sincere thanks goes to the organizer inviting me here and giving me to express some of my words from the side of Nepal Rashtra Bank and from myself. Why? Nepal is continuously improving its business environment through reforms in its policy measures as well as legal, institutional and human capacity development. This province-level country assessment would be a key outcome to identify the fundamental areas of improvement for the policymakers. At the onset of 16th Five-Year Plan and Investment Summit this April, it would also be an invaluable document to initiate the policy reforms to attract investment in a balanced way. I sincerely appreciate and congratulate the entire research and analysis team, the Nepal Institute for Policy Research and Asia Competitiveness Institute of National University of Singapore, NUS, my dream university from the beginning, led by Professor Chong. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Nepal has been continuously attempting to provide the business environment. The post-state reform after the promulgation of Constitution 2015 has shifted various dimensions of the policy making, while the macroeconomic policy framework are same for the state. The ways we formulate policy must be reoriented to make it tailored to all three layers of the government to overcome the growing challenges. To be specific, the heterogeneity in the business competitiveness across the province needs to be addressed through the appropriate macroeconomic policy so as to get business from the federal system and improve the overall business environment. This type of province-level competitiveness index report, therefore, is vital for us to formulate the macroeconomic policies. The financial sector is a lubricant of the economy. It plays a substantial role in reshaping the investment cost, which is actually key to competitiveness in the days to come. Nepal banking system has achieved a milestone in its development progress since the early 2000s, despite having experienced a series of internal and external shocks to the economy. Nepal's financial system has remained resilient. For instance, we have successfully averted the impact of global financial crisis 2008, 2015 earthquake, followed by the state restructuring and then the recent COVID-19 pandemic. The focus of Nepal Rashtra Bank is to enrich the financial development while equally maintaining financial stability as significant in terms of depth, in terms of efficiency and profitability, with steady progress in the overall financial development. The financial consolidation measures we have adopted from 2010 onwards through mergers and acquisition have been most successful in the region. I'd like to thank Dr. Yuvraj Khatioda, former Finance Minister, former Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, for initiating this kind of bold reform and consolidation policies. Ladies and gentlemen, maintaining macroeconomic stability is the key objective of Nepal Rashtra Bank. Our policy measures, therefore, are oriented to maintain price stability, financial and external stability. The adopted policy measures need to be balanced so as not to repress the financial sector on one hand and not to destabilize the financial system on the other. The report has a separate chapter for macroeconomic stability as a competitiveness index which should have critically analyzed and sectoral competitiveness issue across province. Since policy formulation is a dynamic process, it needs continuous updates and reforms to cope with the changing business environment. Despite Nepal Rashtra Bank's active involvement in macroeconomic research and analysis, the initiative from non-government sector like Nepal Institute for Policy Research and indeed insightful and helpful to us to formulate monetary and financial sector policies. Furthermore, inclusive finance is a key requirement for inclusive growth, which the NRB is emphasizing through financial access, literacy and consumer protection measures. I am confident that these issues have been identified in the report so far I have gone through, so that the policy gaps can be addressed in the appropriate and phased manner. In this context, the province level information and competitiveness analysis will be a key ingredient for us to promote financial inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, the digital finance, another very milestone thing, has made a paradigm shift in the overall financial sector. The rapid advancement in financial technologies have provided ample opportunity to grow and expand the services, but we need to be competitive in the digital financial world, especially in the digital financial infrastructure, the legal and institutional framework, and the secure and efficient payment system to ensure the public that we are safe and competitive in the digital world. I am pleased that the report considers the Digital Competitiveness Index as well such that we are now able to identify our strength in using information and communication technology and address our weaknesses that have been mentioned in the report. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, competitiveness is a key for achieving long-term economic growth, thereby maximizing public welfare. Most importantly, balanced and inclusive development is needed for sustainable economic development. I understand that the policy advice, which the Nepal Competitiveness Index 2024 proposes, can be the cornerstone for us since they are evidence-based, cross-cutting and analytical. I would like to assure that Nepal Rashtra Bank will be seriously looking into the recommendation of the report. I hope that the report will be substantial input to improving state-wise weakness and the foreign investment in the competitive business environment. I would like to stop here. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Deputy Governor, for your opening remarks. We are very happy to hear that NRB will consider the policy recommendations of the report in future policy measures. Now we have a video by Professor Paul Chong, Director at Asia Competitiveness Institute. Professor Chong is a professor at Kuan School of Public Policy. Previously, he served as the Director of United Nations Statistics Division at United Nations headquarters in New York from 2004 to 2012, and the Chief Statistician of the Government of Singapore from 1991 to 2004.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and warm greetings from Singapore. My name is Paul Cheung. I'm the Director of Asia Competitiveness Institute of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore. Today marks a significant milestone as we gather to witness the release of the second edition of the Nepal Competitiveness Report 2024. This is the second report that ACI has collaborated with the Nepal Institute for Policy Research. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to work with Mr. Jaya and his colleagues over the past 2 years. This journey has been a remarkable one, defined by collaboration, dedication, and a shared commitment to understand the evolving development landscape of Nepal. Since 2013, ACI has been conducting competitiveness analysis of Asian countries. We focus on the subnational dimensions of development, and our goal is to understand how development is taking shape at the subnational level. We hope to offer insights on development strategies that the subnational entities could adopt. The inaugural edition of the Nepal Competitiveness Index in 2022 laid a strong foundation for the subnational analysis for Nepal. It offered an assessment of the performances of the provinces across a comprehensive set of 61 indicators. The second edition not only built upon this robust analysis of the previous report, but takes a leap into Nepal's digital economy, a sector that is fast growing. The incorporation of a digital competitiveness analysis in this year's report is especially timely. It aims to be a guide for planners, administrators, researchers in identifying which provinces are doing better in harnessing the digital technologies to achieve higher growth. As Nepal's digital economy continues to grow, our analysis could serve as a benchmark to evaluate future progress. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Mr. Jaya and the entire team for their relentless efforts in bringing forth this second edition of the Nepal Competitiveness Report. Your team has done a remarkable job, a commendable job, in collecting critical subnational data to generate insightful analysis for the report. I would also like to take the opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to all the officials at different government ministries and departments in Nepal for their invaluable support in this project and for providing relevant data. We look forward to their continued collaboration and support in the years to come. Thank you, and I wish you every success in this interesting conference. Thank you.
Thank Mr. Trong for his remarks. Now I'd like to call upon Julia for her presentation on the report.
Thank you, Ms. Samriti, and good morning. A warm welcome again to the launch of the Nepal Competitiveness Index 2024 report. I'm Julia Satobajracharya, a fellow at Nepal Institute for Policy Research, and I'll be presenting key findings of our report in the next 20 minutes. So in the next 20 minutes, I'll be walking you through some of the key focus of this second edition, touch briefly on the methodology, and share our overall findings, highlighting some of the key observations made across provinces. Nepal has experienced significant economic and political events since the launch of our first report in 2022. This includes lifting of COVID-19, all of the COVID-19 restrictions and advancements in the digital economy, where we really saw the country's economic sectors gradually rebounding and also witnessed a significant boost in the landscape of the digital economy. And in light of these contexts, the 2024 Nepal Competitiveness Index focuses on core competencies across sectors and digital competitiveness across the 7 provinces. So based on the framework developed by the Asia Competitiveness Institute, we've assessed Nepal's provinces across 4 environments by contextualizing the framework so that it is most relevant to our country. These 4 environments can be viewed as quadrants, each contributing an equal of 25% to the overall competitiveness ranking. These environments are further divided into 11 sub-environments and include 64 indicators. We will be providing more insights in the upcoming slides, but this is just an overview of the framework. Here I'd also like to note that each environment or sub-environment has more indicators than the others, depending on the availability of data. So the first environment, macroeconomic stability, encompasses aspects of economic competitiveness, including economic vibrancy, openness in volumes of trade, and readiness to attract foreign investments, among many others. The second environment, government and institutional setting, focuses more on aspects related to government policies and fiscal sustainability. It also looks at the stability of the overall governance system in a particular province. The third environment, financial businesses and manpower conditions, looks at people's access to financial resources and services. It also takes factors such as business efficiency and labor productivity into account. Finally, the fourth environment, the quality of life and infrastructure development. This one really looks at the social indicators that contribute to enhancing the standard of living of citizens across the provinces, and some of these examples include student to teacher ratio, population density, etc. And for a more comprehensive approach, this study also includes a what-if analysis, which is based on a hypothetical improvement of the weakest indicators of each province, thereby aiming to effectively answer the question of what really needs to be improved. We hope that policymakers in particular will find this useful and relevant in their policy making and recommendations to not just identify specific areas of need, but also recognize potential growth levers and opportunities. So for this edition, we've used publicly available data from the government of Nepal for years 2020 and 2021, including census data, monthly and quarterly reports published by the Nepal Rashtra Bank, periodic data released by the Ministry of Finance, as well as other data from relevant ministries and departments. In addition to this, we've conducted literature review and stakeholder consultation meetings to corroborate and validate these initial findings. Finally, we've also leveraged past data to calculate proxy values for some of these indicators. Now, moving on to the overall ranking. As you can see here, Bagmati remains the most competitive province, followed by Koshi, Gandaki, Lumbini, and Madhesh. Sudurpaschim and Karnali rank at the bottom among the provinces, and in the next few slides, we will delve a bit more into the performance of each of individual provinces between the 4 years 2018 to 2021. So here the number indicates the ranking of the province in that particular year, and if there has been an improvement, we've color-coded with green. Red reflects decline in ranking, and orange indicates that it has remained unchanged. Koshi's ranking, as you can see, has improved overall, driven primarily by advancements in macroeconomic stability and quality of life and infrastructure development. In terms of the overall ranking, Madhesh ranks 5th. The province has notably improved in 2021 in the government and institutional setting category compared to its performance in 2018, which reflects efforts to strengthen governance overall. And as we know, Madhesh is also known to be a strong and vocal advocate for strengthening provincial governance. Bagmati, on the other hand, continues to maintain its rank as the most competitive province overall, and this trend has been consistent across all 4 environments. The widening gap between Bagmati and the rest of the province is important for policymakers to consider moving forward, ensuring that Bagmati continues to remain competitive while increasingly building the capacities of the remaining provinces to really close this gap will be a crucial balance to make moving forward. Gandaki ranks as the 3rd most competitive province, and when we look at the data across the 4 environments, Gandaki performs particularly well on aspects related to quality of life and infrastructure development, focus on the health, education, agriculture, and tourism sectors has been a continued priority for the provincial government. Lumbini, as you can see, its ranking has declined in recent years. There's been an overall decline in the macroeconomic stability between 2018 and 2021. In addition to that, Lumbini has stagnated growth in areas such as financial businesses and manpower conditions, though there are some specific areas that the province can really improve. Having a more inclusive approach to achieving growth across all environments will also prove crucial. Karnali, as we know, just briefly, is the only province which has one open border, and that is with China. Being geographically constrained and remote compared to the other provinces, Karnali has had limited opportunities for trade and investment. It's also important to know that the border, it passes through rough terrains and mountains to access the borders of China, and I think and this is an important factor to consider as we look at its competitiveness across environments. This also makes building infrastructure costly and accessing resources more challenging, which also means that managing large-scale infrastructure projects is a particular challenge. Moving forward, Karnali could explore opportunities to collaborate with other provinces, including Bagmati, for joint collaboration and investments in large-scale projects. Finally, Sudurpaschim, overall, it ranks 6th in the analysis and performs poorly across environments. Having said that, Sudurpaschim can also invest in infrastructure projects to improve connectivity within and beyond their province. Enhanced infrastructure will facilitate trade, tourism, and investment opportunities, as it already benefits from a shared border with both China and India. Moving on, now I'd like to go to the next segment of this presentation, which is the digital competitiveness analysis. As with the overall competitiveness analysis, we've used the framework developed by the Asia Competitiveness Institute and contextualized it to Nepal. Every year we focus on one thematic area for each edition, and our analysis in 2022 looked at the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. Given the growing digital landscape, we believed that for this year it would be timely and critical to focus on Nepal's digital ecosystem. So to do that well, we analyzed the provinces. Based on a framework consisting of 4 environments. The first environment, digital infrastructure. This is really the foundation of a digital economy and encompasses the infrastructure that enables flow of goods and services. The second environment, core inputs. This environment measures the level of digital technologies as well as the human capital across provinces. Digital outputs, this measures the digital economy products or the value added by the digital technologies. And finally, digital utilization. What this environment really does is assesses the adoption and the use of digital technologies by businesses and consumers. So a little bit more on the framework. The index consists of 23 indicators across 4 environments and reflects data for the year 2022. It'd be important to recognize here that the findings are based on available data, and our hope in the future is to include a wider range of indicators to make it more comprehensive. Now moving on to the provincial ranking for digital competitiveness. You'll see in this slide that Bagmati ranks highest in the Digital Competitiveness Index, followed by Gandaki, which ranks 2nd. And our analysis presents 2 factors in common for provinces that perform highly. One is that digital infrastructure investments are well integrated in those provinces, and 2, the adoption of technology is relatively high, particularly in communications, broadcasting, and finance. Gandaki, as you see, ranks poorly in digital outputs despite being a competitive province across other environments and overall. Koshi ranks third, followed by Lumini, Madhya, Sudurpaschim and Karnali. Their performances across the four environments highlight the challenges of segregated digital infrastructure and resources, and the need for bigger leaps toward digitization, including strengthened electricity capacity and access, investment in building skilled workforce to enhance the development and use of the digital products. Sudurpaschim and Karnali in many ways face similar challenges, including geographic remoteness, limited digital infrastructure, and low digital literacy, among a few others. To address these challenges overall, the federal government also needs to ensure that the development of these provinces is high on their agenda. Now I'd like to move forward to highlight some of the interesting observations that we've seen and would like to share with all of you. We hope that this would be representative of some of the indicators that we've been using for this analysis. So as you can see here, highlighted in red, we see that Karnali's performance under the government and institutional setting environment was strong in 2018, and it was in fact among the highest performing provinces. However, it experienced a significant decline in the following years. And what's interesting here is to see that Karnali was also among the first provinces in Nepal to really formulate and implement basic plans and policies tailored towards its specific needs under the federal system. Proactive measures to establish its governance structure were also taken in the initial years, with significant resources and time being spent in the first provincial government's period in this area. Economic growth may not have been a top development priority as reflected through its ranking across the years. Another example here is Koshi, where we see that across the 4 years, the province continued to perform relatively well in all environments except government and institutional settings. Despite challenges in provincial governance, it has remained focused on building macroeconomic stability as well as improving the lives and livelihoods through continued investments in infrastructure and quality of life. Historically, as we know, Koshi is among the most industrialized provinces in the country due to its proximity to Nepal's two key trading partners. And many districts in Koshi are currently also engaged in cash cropping, and as a result, we've seen in our data that there's been a sustained growth in both primary and secondary industries. In addition to having an abundance of resources, the province also has greater access to markets for its products, given its industrial potential. Prioritization of some key economic levers could bring significant growth and stability to the province. Here, I'd like to present some of our observations for core inputs for the digital competitiveness analysis. So, as highlighted in red, Madhya performs poorly in terms of core digital input, but what's interesting here is that it actually has a lot of enabling factors that could trigger significant growth in the digital ecosystem. It has high population density and greater exposure to established digital markets in neighboring areas, and really opportunities to leverage this for its own growth. Despite having a geography that is quite feasible for technological infrastructure, it has not fully leveraged this to its advantage. Therefore, there is much higher potential for Madhya to grow digitally, and it's very much important to bring in investments through both infrastructure and education. Urban areas, this is an interesting observation on our analysis as well, but urban areas and cities play a crucial role in the overall competitiveness of provinces, and this positive correlation has been highlighted in past studies. In general, they're viewed as supplemental drivers to elevating the overall competitiveness of local centers, subnationals, or the broader economy. and the potential of mid-sized cities and urban municipalities as levers of new national growth has also been argued in a recent 2022 study by the Asian Development Bank. But what's interesting here is that in the case of Nepal, despite the rise in the urban population and centers in recent decades, the positive correlation that's been reflected in previous studies do not necessarily stand true here. For example, as you can see, Madhya has the highest number of urban areas but ranks low in overall competitiveness. Similarly with Bagmati, you see that Bagmati is ranked as the top competitive index, but when it comes to the number of urban areas, it's not that high compared to other provinces. So this indicates that an increased number of urban centers does not necessarily enhance the competitiveness of the province, and that's especially for the case of Nepal. There's more details to this, and we have that in our report, so please do have a look. With that, I'd like to wrap up this presentation, and as we continue to work on future editions, we look forward to collaborating with partners to build more on this research and make the report more comprehensive and relevant to stakeholders within and beyond Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia, for summarizing the report. Now, I would like to call upon our speakers and Mr. Janjanwat on the stage to launch the report. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you all have collected your hard copies of the report. I would like to request everyone to get seated as we commence our second session. Thank you. In the second session, we have 4 speakers who will provide their remarks on 4 themes that the NCI report has covered. The session will last for an hour, with each of the speaker providing their remarks of 10 to 12 minutes each. We would like to call upon stage our first speaker of the session, Mr. Karnali. Mr. Karnali is the former Finance Secretary of Nepal. He has led reforms in governmental accounting, reporting, public procurement and tax policy. He also held board positions in institutions like Nepal Rashtra Bank, Nepal Electricity Authority, Nepal Telecommunications Corporation and Nepal Airlines. He will be speaking on the theme macroeconomic stability.
Good morning, distinguished speakers, Excellency Ambassador of Sudurpaschim, distinguished guests and journalists. It's a pleasure to be here this morning attending the event on Nepal Competitiveness Index. I missed the event 2 years ago. I think when the first issue was made public, I was invited, but I was unable to attend the meeting. This time I got the second edition of the Nepal Competitiveness Index. This has been a remarkable effort by NIPoRe. I would like to thank Jai Jagmaatji for this activity. In fact, in the context of Nepal's move to federalism, it is very important to look into the competitiveness of each of the provinces and also municipalities, so that the policies can be prepared in such a manner that level playing field can be created in all provinces. All provinces may have the equal opportunity as well as for the inclusive development. I think the analysis of the competitiveness is very important, and NIPoRe has done a very good work. The findings and the recommendations of this report would definitely be valuable to the government. While the government is preparing the 16th plan, although 16th plan preparation is in the final stage, I think during the course of this exercise, you must have discussed with the National Planning Commission on some of the findings of this analysis to be incorporated in the programs and policies of 16th Development Plan. Along with the federal government plan, provincial governments also are preparing plan. I think the information contained here will be valuable to them as well. Macroeconomic stability, of course, is very important for not only the federal government, but also the municipal and the provincial government, and also for the public. Around around 1.5 years ago, around 2 years ago, people in Nepal, media, all were debating whether Nepal will be on the path of Sri Lanka. So everyone, even in the village, I was in Lukum, remote village called Lukum. People were asking me because they happened to know me as former finance secretary, and they asked me, will Nepal be Sri Lanka? I said, how do you know Nepal will be Sri Lanka? Because our radio keeps on always telling that Nepal will become Sri Lanka. So Nepal becoming Sri Lanka became a household word in Nepal because of the macroeconomic problems. The problem then was Nepal was running out of foreign exchange, balance of payment was in deficit, trade, of course, we are always in deficit. Most of the years we are having current account deficit. Fortunately, for the last 4 or 5 months, we are running a surplus because of the remittance, growing remittance, and also because of declining exports, declining imports, which is not really good. So this improvement in the external sector balance is good on the face, but does not have strength. It is not something to be happy about, although it is good. So, had this been possible through rising exports, strengthened economy, higher GDP, then probably the external sector balance would have been making us happier. Stable growth, moderate inflation, external sector stability, financial sector stability, good fiscal balance of the government. These are very important elements of macroeconomic stability. And in the case of Nepal, compared to some of the South Asian countries like Pakistan, even Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, of course, has been an example for a longer period of time. We have been able to maintain the macroeconomic stability for a long period of time. But what does macroeconomic stability mean? It means it has to contribute to higher investments, higher investor confidence, then contributing to higher employment and higher growth. But in terms of converting the macroeconomic stability into the real results that people can feel, we have always been poor. So macroeconomic stability alone is not sufficient. So as for the macroeconomic stability to contribute to the goodness of the people, goodness of the country, there has to be a good governance. If the governance is good, then only the investors will feel investing. So what is governance basically? Governance basically is low corruption. The government officials provide quicker services, facilitation is good, regulation is good, wider service delivery of the government is good. If those are good, then only the macroeconomic stability can produce results. In case of Nepal, in spite of having macroeconomic stability for a long period of time, as somebody in the beginning said that we sustained COVID-19, we not only sustained COVID-19, we also sustained global financial crisis of 2008, the trade blockade, the earthquake, several difficult times, including the 10-year-long armed conflict, very long political transition during the drafting of the constitution. We sustained all those difficult times because of the macroeconomic stability. Our fiscal balance was always good. Although people keep on talking about so much foreign debt, so much total debt of the government over the head of the people. But Nepal is the least indebted country in not only in South Asia but also among the ranks of the developing countries in the world. At 42%, it's not very high. If the government has the ability to spend well and spend in capital formation, then we have still what we call as fiscal space. Now, at the provincial level, if the weakened macroeconomic stability of the country as a whole, if the macroeconomic stability is weak, it is not, there are problems, for example, in the case of the government fiscal balance, in the case of the external balance or financial sector, the consequences are mostly felt by the provinces and the municipalities and wider public. If the financial sector goes into crisis, for example, currently there are rumors going around about certain banks in problem, which is not really true because Nepal Bank has really serious supervisory and regulatory mechanism through which they always look into the problems and try to resolve them before they create problems in the economy. But the problems created by cooperatives, problems created by microfinance, as a result of which, more than the federal government, it is the municipal and the provincial government suffer because the population within their jurisdiction don't have adequate access to finance. Because most of Nepal is not served by commercial banks. Most of the rural area is served by microfinance, cooperatives, informal or small financial setup created by communities, which we call as community-based organizations, who have also saving and credit operations. They might not be registered, they might be registered in the form of cooperative, but there are such units at the local level which are the source of finance for the wider public and the basically poor people and small entrepreneurs. So if the overall financial sector is in deep trouble, then the bigger suffering is on the people. Therefore, in that context, macroeconomic stability becomes very important. I have not gone into the details and the data produced by NIPoRe in this report. I had gone through 2022 report. I think there are certain changes in some provinces. Some provinces have lagged behind, some provinces are improving. So in course of time that certainly happens. But what this report should be able to do is to help the government to address the problems that are seen in different provinces and improving the overall competitiveness and particularly the macroeconomic stability. In the case of the provinces also have the right to borrow as per the constitution and also as per the law, but they have not exercised that right. So fiscal deficit at the provincial and municipal level is low. Therefore, the risk to macroeconomic stability from them as a government entity is much lower. In future, if they exercise, National Resources and Fiscal Commission has already given them right to borrow. The limit has been set to them at 12% of the annual revenue they collect. So, but they have not been able to borrow because the mechanism is not in place. Federal government has the mechanism through Nepal Rashtra Bank, through Public Debt Management Office, whether Public Debt Management Office should also be doing the agency function of the federal government, provincial government and municipal government. That is not yet clear. Therefore, they have not gone to market through borrowings. Municipalities, of course, have gone to market through borrowings. One to Town Development Fund Board, that is the federal government board. So they are slightly leveraged. The provincial government are not leveraged, therefore there is no risk from their side towards macroeconomic stability, and most of the subnational government do much less on the external sector stability or financial sector stability. So therefore, the risk from their side at the moment is much less, but the risk from their side in future will increase. But the positive contribution that the provinces and the municipalities can do is to help promote exports. If they create right environment for improving exports, then we can have, just as the macroeconomic stability we maintained in the past, a sustained macroeconomic stability and positive, moderate to high growth. That is what Nepal requires. So I wouldn't spend much time. I think I was given 10 minutes. I wouldn't spend all my time. Thank you, Zairzi, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all for the patience.
Thank you, Mr. Kanal, for your insightful remarks. Now we would like to call upon our second speaker of the session, Her Excellency Dr. Danielle Nuri, to the podium. Her Excellency is an economist and has held various roles in economic and development organizations, including the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs and the World Bank. She has worked in missions in Washington, D.C., Paris, New York, Tunis, and Bishkek. Ambassador newly arrived in Nepal in September 2023 as the Ambassador of Switzerland to Nepal. She will provide her remarks on the theme Quality of Life and Infrastructure Development.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Thanks a lot for having me today for this important moment. This publication is remarkable. I'm looking forward to dig into it, to look through this wealth of information. And so thanks also to NIPoRe for the excellent work done on this report. Thanks for having me today. I will share with you a couple of insights on infrastructure and the quality of life. The Swiss cooperation in Nepal dates back with a history of more than 60 years. Since the 1970s, Switzerland has been involved in the transport infrastructure sector in Nepal. The trail bridges being one of the first interventions that started in 1974 and which was phased out last year. Over the years, we've built more than 10,000 trail bridges, thus providing safer river crossing to over 2/3 of the population of Nepal. The trail bridges save each person more than 2 hours for a two-way journey each day to access important service centers like education, markets, and healthcare facilities. Over 1 million people cross trail bridges every day. I am proud that Switzerland contributed to this achievement. Let me give you some more examples of our involvement in the infrastructure sector. In the road sector, our engagement started in 1975 with the constructions of the 110 kilometers of the I arrived in the country in September, you will excuse the fact that I cannot read the name, the Lamosango-Jiri Highway, connecting people of the then remote mountain districts of the northeast to the capital city, Kathmandu. Since the completion of this road in 1987, the literacy rate in the area served by the road has more than tripled, with people having access to health and immunization services, and the infant mortality rate dropped to more than half. Since the development of this road, many small and large hydropower plants have been developed around the road area. In fact, Upper Tamakoshi, Nepal's largest electricity producing plant, is situated in this area. And this reflects the need for investment in good infrastructure for the takeoff of the country's economic potential. The Swiss cooperation, together with development partners like the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank, supported the government of Nepal through different projects in building more than 2,500 kilometers of roads, 680 provincial or local motorable bridges, connecting more than 5 million people with all-weather motorable access to resources and opportunities. And these roads also supported the diversification of exports and imports in Nepal. A survey also showed that the household income of the people living along these roads increased by 25% on average. And there was nearly a 20% increase in the number of children going to school. Recently, from 2021, Switzerland has been assisting the government of Nepal in the construction of tunnels, the development of tunnel standards, policies, and guidelines, which will be another milestone in the transport infrastructure development in Nepal. These hard facts demonstrate how investment in infrastructure has contributed to transforming Nepal from being a landlocked country to becoming land-linked, but most importantly to improve the quality of life of the people in Nepal. Switzerland, through its various development projects, has been supporting the different spheres of government in Nepal to create an enabling environment for private sector development and foreign direct investment. This is an approach that we started as Nepal clearly also indicated its willingness to graduate from the less developed country status and to switch gears and to focus towards economic transformation. So the Swiss cooperation also changed its approach over the years. In order to facilitate economic growth, local governments' efforts at grassroots level needs to be complemented and guided by the strategic efforts from provinces and federal government. And for this, we need to ensure that we support the ongoing devolution of federal power and promote collaboration between national and subnational authorities. We are currently supporting the World Bank in conducting a provincial investment climate assessment, PICA, in all 7 provinces, out of which 4 have been already completed. PICA provides insights in terms of the readiness of provinces to attract investment and support private sector growth. This is a much needed step in Nepal's federalized context. Subsequently, we are also supporting development of reform action plans at each province level. Regulatory transparency, digitalization of services, development of basic local infrastructure like road and broadband connectivity, transferring of power and competencies to subnational authorities are some of the key measures that have been identified and need to be prioritized. So the Nepal Competitive Index aligns very well with this effort, and this goal, this common goal that we have, is to ensure that the 3 spheres of government are well informed on the needs and gaps that have to be prioritized in their planning and policy decision making. We are hopeful that the government, with its competitive ranking of the provinces, is able to pursue policy changes and reforms that will create the framework conditions and sectoral policies needed to attract investment and unlock Nepal's economic potential for the benefit of its people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador, for your remarks. Now I would like to call upon stage Mr. Gajendra Budatoki, Editor-in-Chief at Dakshar Economic Magazine. Mr. Budatoki is a respected journalist and editor with over 3 decades of experience in economics and business journalism. He has received numerous awards, including Developing Asia Journalism Awards and the National Journalism Award. His expertise extends to media relations, communication, project management, and advocacy work for individuals with disabilities. Mr. Budatoki will provide his remarks on the theme Financial, Businesses, and Manpower Conditions.
Thank you. मेरो अङ्ग्रेजी त्यति नराम्रो हुँदै गर्दाखेरि खासमा चाहिँ मैले यो पावर पोइन्ट बनाउनु भन्दा नि यो चाहिँ आउटलाइनको रूपमा यहाँ बोल्नको लागि सजिलो हुन्छ भनेर पोइन्ट्सहरू मात्रै हो। मलाई चाहिँ अलिकता भेग इस्युमा दिनुभएको थियो फाइनेन्सियल बिजनेस र म्यानपावर कन्डिसन्स इन नेपाललाई इन्हान्सिङको विषयलाई केही बोलिदिनु पऱ्यो भन्नु हो। अब आफैमा एकवटा विषयको लामो लामो आर्टिकल्सहरू पढ्ने लामो लामो रिसर्च पेपरहरू पढ्ने चिज भएकोले 10 मिनटमा समय छ। थोरै चाहिँ अलिकता हामी कहाँ सरले विषय पुट्याइदिनु भएकोले मलाई सजिलो के भयो भने हाम्रो अर्थतन्त्रको विद्यमान अवस्थाको बारेमा हामीले चिन्तन गरिरहँदा समग्र व्यावसायिक वातावरण, समग्र आर्थिक वातावरणमा हामी कहाँ छौँ भन्ने कुरालाई अलिकति थोरै पछाडि फर्केर हेर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। हामी कहाँ अर्थतन्त्रको अवस्था बिग्रनुको पछाडि दुईवटा मुख्य कारकहरू देखा परे। खास गरी 2072 सालको भूकम्प र 23 सालको 5 महिने आर्थिक नाकाबन्दीपछि नेपालको अर्थतन्त्रको हामी अङ्ग्रेजीमा चाहिँ रिजिलेन्स पावर हुन्छ, लडेर उठ्ने क्षमता बलियो भएकोले गर्दा अर्थतन्त्र स्वतः लयमा आयो भन्ने भ्रममा रह्यो। यसले एक खाले समस्याहरूलाई थुपारेर राखेको रहेछ। त्यो समस्यालाई हामीले कहिले पनि फर्केर पछि हेरेनौँ। अर्थतन्त्रमा लयमा चल्दै गयो भन्यौँ, नीतिहरू पनि बजेटहरू त्यही अनुसार, फिस्कल नीति, वित्तीय नीति होइन, अनि मौद्रिक नीतिहरू त्यही अनुसार बनायौँ। तर पछि चाहिँ फर्केर हेर्दाखेरि जुन भूकम्प र आर्थिक नाकाबन्दीले जिडिपीमा असर पारेको थियो, त्यसबाट एकैचोटि ठुलो पाहाली देखेको देख्दाखेरि ओहो अर्थतन्त्र त वारे वहाँ भयो भने हामी ट्र्याकमा आयौँ भन्नेमा भ्रममा रह्यौँ। त्यसपछिको आर्थिक वृद्धि दर हेर्ने हो भने लगातार हामी झर्दै गएको देखिन्छ। लगभग 9% को अवस्थाबाट चालु आर्थिक वर्षमा आइएमएफको डाटाले चाहिँ 1.7% नै ऋणात्मक नै भन्यो। आइएमएफको डाटालाई म अलिकता आधिकारिक किन रूपमा लिन्छु भने उनीहरूले तत्कालीन सिपिएस अहिले चाहिँ एनएसओकै डेटालाई लिएर एनालिसिस गर्छ। नेपाल सरकारले चाहिँ 2% भन्दै आएको छ। 2% नै राख्दाखेरि पनि हामी 8बाट 2मा झऱ्यौँ, लगातारै झर्दै आएको छौँ। अर्थतन्त्र वास्तविक तहमा 72 सालदेखि 2080 सालसम्म आइपुग्दाखेरि निकै ठुलो क्षतिको अवस्थामा पुगेको छ। त्यसलाई हामीले अलिकता थोरै हेर्नुपर्छ। एउटा धक्का त्यो थियो। अर्को धक्का चाहिँ अस्ति भर्खरै कोभिड-19 महामारीले हाम्रो अर्थतन्त्रमा ठुलो धक्का पार्यो। म त्यो अध्ययन समितिको सदस्य पनि थिएँ। 8 महिनाको अवधिमा नेपालको आर्थिक वृद्धि दर 6% रहेको अवस्थामा 5 महिने लकडाउन र अन्य प्रोसेसहरूले गर्दाखेरि अर्थतन्त्र 2.2% ले ऋणात्मक भयो। अर्थात् समग्रमा हाम्रो अर्थतन्त्रमा कोभिड महामारीले 8.2% ले क्षति पुर्यायो। अब यहाँ मैले तपाईँहरूले मलाई प्रश्न गर्नु होला, कताबाट यसमा बिजनेस इन्भाइरोमेन्टको कुरा आयो भनेर। हो, यी दुईवटा धक्काहरूले हाम्रो नेपालको कुल अर्थतन्त्रको 98.6%, 98.6% कन्ट्रिब्युसन गर्ने एमएसएमई, लघु, घरेलु, साना र मझौला उद्योगहरूमा सोझै प्रभाव पार्यो। उनीहरू उठ्नै नसक्ने गरी थला परेका छन्। पछिल्लो 2 वर्षको अवधिलाई हेर्ने हो भने एमएसएमईहरू जसले अर्थतन्त्रको महत्त्वपूर्ण हिस्सा ओगटेका थिए, रोजगारीमा चाहिँ उनीहरूको महत्त्वपूर्ण कन्ट्रिब्युसन जस्तो थियो, उनीहरू उठ्नै नसक्ने गरी थला परेको अहिलेको अवस्था हो। यसलाई अर्थतन्त्रलाई रिभाइभ गर्नको लागि, पुनः भाइटलाइज गर्नको लागि नेपाल सरकारले जुन तरिकाले पुनरुत्थान प्याकेजहरू ल्याउनु पर्थ्यो त्यो ल्याउन सकेन। त्यसले असर पार्दा पार्दै गत आर्थिक वर्षमा नेपाल सरकारले एउटा गर्ने नहुने काम गर्यो। यहाँ अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मुद्रा कोषको कोही हुनुहुन्छ कि अथवा हुनुहुन्न भने अर्थशास्त्रीले पढ्नु भएको होला। अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मुद्रा कोषले आफ्नो प्रतिवेदनमा के भनेर लेखिदियो भने आयात प्रतिबन्ध लगाउँदाखेरि तिम्रो अर्थतन्त्र नराम्रोसँग खुम्चियो। त्यो कुरालाई अर्थमन्त्री डाक्टर प्रकाश शरण महत, गभर्नर महाप्रसाद खतिवडा, उहाँहरू दुवैजनाले पत्र पठाएर आइएमएफलाई पठाएको पत्रको प्रति हामीसँग मैले प्राप्त गरेको छु। पत्रै पठाएर हामी अब उपरान्त यस्ता खाले गल्ती गर्दैनौँ, यसले ठुलो मिस्टेकै भएको हो भनेर स्वीकार गर्नु। यी असरहरूले अहिले हाम्रो व्यावसायिक वातावरण वास्तवमै साँच्ची नै खुम्चिएको छ। CNI भन्ने उद्योगी व्यवसायीहरूको एउटा व्यावसायिक संस्थाले त्यहाँ पनि अर्थशास्त्रीहरूको एउटा टिम राखेर उनीहरूले नियमित सर्वे गरिरहेका छन्। त्यो सर्वे अनुसार हेर्दा अहिले चाहिँ ठुला उद्योगहरू नै आफ्नो कुल क्षमताको 40 देखि 50% भन्दा माथि सञ्चालन हुन सकेको छैन। तपाईँ हामीले काठमाडौँ वरिपरिमा हेर्ने हो भने अहिले टु लेट लेखिएका सटरहरू जताततै देखिन्छन्। एउटा अनौपचारिक अध्ययनले के देखायो भने गत दशैँमा घर फर्केर गएका धेरै साना व्यापारीहरू काठमाडौँ फर्किएर आए। ती सटरहरूमा ताला बन्द छ, घरबेटीले सामान निकालेर बाहिर फाल्न पनि सकेको छैन। यो काठमाडौँको मात्रै कुरा नभएर म भर्खरै सुर्खेत पुगेर आएँ। सुर्खेतका उद्योगी व्यवसायीहरूसँग पनि संवाद गर्दाखेरि स्थिति त्यहाँ पनि त्यस्तै छ। दिनभरिमा एउटा टी सर्ट पनि बिक्दैन भन्नुहुन्थ्यो त्यहाँका उद्योगी व्यवसायीहरू। साँच्चै नै हाम्रो आर्थिक वातावरण यसले बिग्रेर गएको छ। अब यहाँनिर दोस्रो पाटोमा हो वित्तीय प्रणालीको कुरा। सरले एकदमै राम्रो कुरा भन्नुभयो। नेपाल राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कको निगरानीमा भएका ठुला ब्याङ्कहरू अथवा क, ख, ग र घ वर्गकै लघु वित्त कम्पनी पनि नडुब्लान्, तर हरेक दिन अखबारका पानाहरूमा सिङ्गै पाना चाहिँ लिलामीका सूचनाले भरिएका छन्। यो मैले आर्थिक पत्रकारितामा मेरो 28 वर्ष भयो। हामी एक वर्षमा 300-400 जनाले कालो सूचीमा परेकाहरूको सङ्ख्या बढ्दाखेरि ठुला हेडलाइन बनाएर पहिलो पानामा समाचार छाप्थ्यौँ। त्यतिखेर अहिले एक महिनामै 2000 देखि लिएर 3000 जना कालो सूचीमा भरिरहेका छन्। यो एकदमै जटिल अवस्था छ। एकदमै राम्रो कुरा हो, ब्याङ्किङ क्षेत्रमा समस्या छैन भन्दिन सजिलो छ। NPA र NPL का सूचकाङ्कहरूलाई हामीले चाहिँ ब्यालेन्स सिट क्लिन गर्ने भन्छौँ। लुकाएर कति दिनसम्म लुकाएर राख्न सकिन्छ, शीर्षकहरू यताउता हेरफेर गरेर कहिलेसम्म सार्न सकिन्छ सार्दै जाउँ। तर आगोको झिल्कालाई उसको थुप्रोले छोप्दैमा आगोको झिल्का त निप्दैन। समस्या त्यहाँनिर छ। एक न एक दिन त्यो भुस बल्छ नि। बेलैमा बरु राष्ट्र ब्याङ्क र नेपाल सरकारले साहसिक कदम चालेर समस्या देखिएका संस्थाहरूलाई, जसलाई उहाँहरूले अहिले अफसाइड र अनसाइड दुइटै नियमनमा राखिरहनु भएको छ, बेलैमा हस्तक्षेप गरेर राष्ट्र ब्याङ्क आफैले विगतमा जस्तै गरेर व्यवस्थापन नियन्त्रणमा लिएर सुधारको कार्यक्रम अगाडि बढाउने हो भने फिनान्सियल सेक्टरको सुधार हुन सम्भव छ। फेरि म मेरा गुरु रामेश्वर सरकै अर्को पोइन्टबाट आउँछु। अहिले नेपालको वित्तीय प्रणालीमा साँच्चै नै सहकारीहरूको कारणले गर्दाखेरि ठुलो वित्तीय सङ्कट सिर्जना भएको छ। उजुरी परेकै रकम मात्रै 65 अर्ब छ। तर मेरो अनुमानमा उजुरी नपरेका थुप्रै नेपाल सरकारका प्रशासकहरू, प्रहरीकै पूर्व हाकिमहरू, हुँदा उद्योगिक व्यवसायीले नै समेत सहकारीमा राखेको पैसा डुबेको छ। उहाँहरूले मेरो डुब्यो भन्न सक्नु भएको छैन। अब यो त्यसमा कतिपय कालो धुवालाई सेतो बनाएको पैसा पनि होला, तर त्यो पैसा डुब्यो भनेर उहाँले उजुरी गर्न नसकेको पैसा अवस्था छ। यो पैसा मेरो अनुमानमा चाहिँ 1 देखि 1.5 खर्ब भन्दा बढी छ। यदि बेलैमा सहकारीको सङ्कटलाई सम्बोधन गरिएन भने नेपालमा अर्को भयावह वित्तीय सङ्कट सिर्जना हुने, यसलाई चाहिँ भुमरी नै भन्छु, वित्तीय भुमरी सिर्जना हुने जोखिम मैले देखेको छु। मलाई यहाँनिर अर्को उहाँ पनि मेरो गुरु नै हुनुहुन्थ्यो, मञ्चमा सेयर गर्न पाएकोबाट बडो मलाई गर्व नै हुने थियो। डाक्टर युवराज खतिवडालाई म एकदमै साहसी प्रशासक भनेर मान्छु। त्यो कुरालाई मैले मात्रै होइन, आइएमएफले पनि स्वीकार गरेको छ। सन् 2011मा नै समान यस्तै किसिमको, अझ योभन्दा जटिल किसिमको समस्या नेपालको वित्तीय प्रणालीमा देखा परेको थियो। केही बैंक तथा वित्तीय संस्थाहरूले आफ्नो कुल लोन पोर्टफोलियोको 65% जति घर जग्गामा लगानी गरिसकेका थिए। वित्तीय प्रणाली चरम सङ्कटमा आइसकेको थियो। आइएमएफको टोली आयो, डायग्नोसिस गर्यो, हेर्यो। उनीहरूले के भन्यो भने सुधारका लागि पिआरजिएफ भन्ने एउटा पैसा ऋण हुन्छ देशलाई दिने, पिआरजिएफको ऋण तिमी ल्याऊ, यो सुधार गर भन्दा डाक्टर खतिवडाले गभर्नर हुनुहुन्थ्यो, म नेपाल सरकारले थप ऋण लिन चाहँदैन, हामी आफै रिफर्म गर्छौँ भन्नुभयो। उहाँले बोल्ड केही निर्णयहरू लिनुभयो। उहाँकै पालामा मर्दर एक्विजिसनको कुराहरू अगाडि बढ्यो र आइएमएफले सन् 2012को आफ्नो रिपोर्टमा नेपाल सरकारले राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले चालेका साहसिक सुधारका कार्यक्रमहरूले गर्दाखेरि वित्तीय प्रणाली ढल्नबाट बच्यो भनेर लेखेको छ। हो, त्यस्तै साहसिक कदमको अहिले आवश्यकता छ। होइन भने नेपालको वित्तीय क्षेत्र चाहिँ लडिसकेको छैन। यो छेउमा म गएँ भने नि म व्हिलचेयरमा चढ्छु, त्यो छेउमा म गएँ भने लड्छु। मलाई थाम दिने मान्छे चाहिन्छ र सरकारले बेलैमा यो विषयमा सम्बोधन गरोस्। दोस्रो पाटो, तेस्रो पाटोको कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ पोजिटिभ नेगेटिभ दुईटा खाले पाटोमा कुरा गर्छौँ। हामी म्यान पावर जनशक्ति व्यवस्थापनको कुरा गर्छौँ। हरेक वर्ष यो देशमा 6 लाखको हाराहारीमा नयाँ जनशक्ति श्रम बजारमा आउँछ। हामीले सरकारी सेवामा 50,000 जतिलाई एडजस्ट गर्न सक्छौँ। सेना प्रहरी यताउता गर्दाखेरि र निजी क्षेत्रमा गएर 1 लाख जतिलाई मात्रै हामीले हाम्रो आन्तरिक बजारमा एडजस्ट गर्न सक्छौँ। बाँकी 5 लाखजना रोजगारी खोजेर देशमा रोजगारी नभएर खाडी मुलुकमा मध्यपूर्वमा आफ्नो ज्यान जोखिममा पारेर आर्जन गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ। त्यो आर्जन गरेर पठाएको पैसालाई हामी रेमिटेन्स भन्छौँ। औपचारिक माध्यमबाट र फर्मल च्यानलबाट ब्याङ्किङ प्रणालीबाट आउने पैसा 12 खर्ब जति छ। त्यसको 30% जति चाहिँ अनौपचारिक माध्यमबाट, हुन्डीबाट, ह्यान्ड क्यारीबाट आउँछ भन्ने अर्को अनुमान छ। त्यसले हाम्रो देशको अर्थतन्त्र धान्दिएको छ। अर्थतन्त्रको आय गर्ने स्रोतहरूभन्दा खर्च गर्ने स्रोतहरू धेरै छन्, ठाउँहरू धेरै छन्। अहिले हामी रेमिटेन्सको आयले मात्रै धानिएको अवस्था छ। रामसर जस्ता अर्थशास्त्रीहरूले यसलाई डच डिजिजको पूर्व सङ्केत भन्नुहुन्छ। रेमिटेन्सको टेको झिकिएको भोलिपल्ट यो ट्राइपोर्टको 3टा खुट्टा हुन्छ। ट्राइपोर्टको 3टा खुट्टा मानौँ, एउटा पर्यटनको आय, एउटा निर्यातको आय, अर्को रेमिटेन्सको आय। रेमिटेन्सको आयको यो खुट्टो भाँचिएको दिन के होला हामी सोचौँ। देशको जनशक्ति, हामी कहाँ पढे लेखेको जनशक्ति हरेक वर्ष मास्टर्स गरेको जनशक्ति झन्डै 1.5 लाखको जति हाराहारीमा आउँछ बजारमा। श्रम गर्ने जनशक्ति तब श्रम खोज्दै जाला। +2 गर्ने बित्तिकै अहिले बच्चाहरू नेपालमा केही पनि अवसर पाइएन भनेर युरोप, अमेरिका, अस्ट्रेलिया जान्छन्। ती बच्चाहरू भोलि फर्केर आउलान् कि नआउलान्। अहिले भर्खरै सामाजिक सञ्जालमा व्यापक चर्चा भइरहेछ डक्टरहरूको पलायनको विषय। दुबईमा नेपालका राम्रा इन्जिनियरहरूले पनि 5-7 लाख रुपियाँको जागिर पाउँछ भनेर यहाँ सरकारी सेवाबाटै राजीनामा दिएर गइरहेको जनशक्ति, जसलाई हामी ब्रेन ड्रेन भन्छौँ, त्यसको अर्को ठुलो समस्या छ। हामीसँग सम्भावना भएका धेरै कुरा गर्छौँ, राम्रा कुराहरू आउँछन् र तर समस्या छ भनेर हामी सबैलाई थाहा छ। समाधान के त भन्यो भने बिरालाका घाँटीमा घन्टी कसले बाँध्ने भनेर जस्तो समाधान देखाउनलाई हामी औँला देखाउँछौँ। उहाँले पो खोजिदिने हो कि उहाँले पो खोजिदिने हो कि। तपाईँ हामी यहाँ सबै बौद्धिक जमात बसेका छौँ। कम्तीमा यो 3वटा फ्याक्टर्समा आजैबाट सोच्न थालौँ, हाम्रो समस्या के हो, समस्या कसले गर्दा सिर्जना भएको, र मैले के गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ थोरै मात्रै गर्दाखेरि पनि केही समस्याको समाधान हुन्छ कि हुँदैन कि। यो 3वटा बाटोबाट आजैबाट हामी बहस गर्न थालौँ। नेपाल कम्पिटिटिभ इन्डेक्स एकदमै राम्रो प्रतिवेदन बनेको छ। यो प्रतिवेदनको पूर्ण अंश त मैले हेर्न पाएको छैन। काठमाडौँलाई नम्बर 1 प्रतिस्पर्धी क्षमताको रूपमा उहाँले देखाउनु भएको छ। केही अगाडि हामीले गरेको एउटा अध्ययनले काठमाडौँले कुल नेपालको अर्थतन्त्रको 36% हिस्सा ओगट्ने गरेको देखाएको थियो। यो लिच्छवी कालदेखि यता नै सबै आर्थिक गतिविधि, सबै प्रशासनिक गतिविधिको केन्द्र भएकोले बागमती प्रदेशले अलिकता धेरै राम्रो गर्नु इन्डेक्सको हिसाबले राम्रो नै होला। अपर्च्युनिटीहरू अन्ततिर पनि विस्तार हुँदै जाँदा अरू प्रदेशहरूले पनि बिस्तारै राम्रो गर्दै जालान् भन्ने अपेक्षा गरौँ। मलाई दिएको समय 10 मिनट थियो, मैले अलिक बढी लिएँ होला, माफ पाऊँ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Mr. Budatoki, for your remarks and the presentation. We would like to now request our fourth speaker, Dr. Karnali, Senior Research Fellow at Policy Research Institute, PRI, to provide her remarks. Dr. Karnali is an economist with specialization in public policy and conducts research in emerging economies like Nepal. Dr. Karnali earned her PhD in economics from University of Missouri, Kansas State, and has teaching experience in the United States and Nepal. Dr. Karnali will provide her remarks on the theme government and institutional setting.
Thank you. Good afternoon, honorable dignitaries, including, I think many of the dignitaries have left, but we have here Her Excellency Daniel Muley, senior journalist, Gajendra Puratokiji, and all the esteemed guests in the audience. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Nepal Institute for Policy Research for launching the 2nd edition of the Nepal Competitive Index. I'd also like to thank them for having me over as a speaker during this special event. And without further ado, let me move on to the topic that was assigned to me, government and institutional setting. As an economist, I'm not an expert in governance, but economy is always tied to governance and institutions, so I will not be speaking too far away from my expertise because governance is part of everything. And government and institutional setting was one of the 4 environments across which the Nepal Competitive Index ranks the provincial government, and it was presented earlier. And as we all know, the term government is defined as the political system by which a country or community is administered and regulated. And when we have to define institutions, I want to remember the original institutional economist in the tradition of Thorsten Veblen and John R. Commons, who understood institutions as a special type of social structure with the potential to change agents, including changes to their purposes and preferences. So institutions are very powerful in the sense that they provide agency to stakeholders. And federalism as a governing system was established in most of the developing countries, such as in Africa in the post-colonial period, not only to promote national unity, but also to institute a system of governance. The concept of federalism became popular in both developed and developing countries after World War II, especially in balancing power structure between federal and state or lower-level governments and maintaining the governing system and strengthening institutional capacity. And much as half of the world's territory was governed by federalism by the end of 1960s. As a result, all levels of government were able to coordinate their actions in resolving national problems like the economic crises and civil rights struggles. And each country gradually adopted federalism to serve different purposes. For example, the United States adopted federal principles to safeguard the population from external attacks and to create wealth by increasing trade. Switzerland, on the other hand, Her Excellency would know more, but implemented it to exercise participatory democracy by establishing a representative system at the local level. Likewise, Brazil decentralized the functions of the existing centralized state using federalism. In the case of Nepal, the space for federalism expanded, and all of us are aware of this. In Nepal, the space for federalism expanded after the implementation of the Comprehensive Peace Accord of 2006, and eventually in 2015, the federal constitution was promulgated. Nepal's constitution envisions an equitable and peaceful society, good governance, development and prosperity by ending all forms of discrimination and ensuring social justice based on inclusive and participatory, proportional representation. The most pronounced change within Nepal's 2015 constitution was the establishment of provincial governments, aka federalism, meaning we already have a federal government and local government, but we did not have the middle government or the provincial government, and the additional contribution of the 2015 constitution was the middle government or the provincial government. And Nepal's efforts to decentralize the government system and related economic activities across Nepal's newly formed provinces began shortly after the culmination of the first ever provincial elections. That was the election of 2017. And during the first 5 years since the formation, the 7 provincial governments have laid the foundation of basic minimum policies, legislations, and institutional framework, meaning the first 5 years were spent institutionalizing federalism. And provinces have started formulating their own plans and budget. Provincial planning commissions and resource committees have been formed in almost all provinces by now. And despite these early building blocks during the first 5 years of federalism, general uncertainty and debate persists on the efficacy of the 3-tiered federal governing system. Limited information and data about provincial governments make for an unclear picture of their performance. Nepal's constitution is still very young, and the governing system, the new governing system, these are to be made better through research, dialogues, public discourses, etc. And these processes can be hindered by the provincial information and data gap. And in this context, I believe the Nepal Competitiveness Index can be seen as a departure point to contribute to the collective analysis of provincial governments across 4 environments and fill that data gap up to certain level. And if we look at the international context too, for example, in India, the Niti Aayog in India tries to promote competitive federalism by facilitating improved performance of states. It encourages healthy competition among states through transparent rankings in various sectors, along with a hand-holding approach, meaning the goal is not to leave states behind, but to move the states along together, hand-holding, strengthening each other. And some of the indices launched by NITI Aayog include School Education Quality Index, State Health Index, Composite Water Management Index, Sustainable Development Goals Index, India Innovation Index, Export Competitive Index, among others. And the index that NCI is working on, and one of the environments or the indicators that's given to me, the government and institutions. It is the second environment analyzed under Nepal Competitiveness Index, and it captures a picture of stability of the country's overall governance system and those related to key public institutions. And some of the indicators of the sub-environments include government revenue, tax revenue. So there are 11 indicators, and half of them are related to fiscal health of the provinces, including tax revenue, government expenditure, balanced budget, etc. And the other half are related to institutions, which includes the private sector institutions or the type of businesses that are registered under the provinces, including limited companies, public limited companies, foreign companies, non-government organizations, etc. So both of these indicators, on one hand, show the fiscal health of the provinces, and on the other hand, the actual institutions or these business bodies show the economic health in terms of how many jobs are created in the provinces and how money is flowing nationally and internationally. So, and earlier the presenter, I think Ms. Satu Bajracharya, explained in detail about the methodology, and I was, in addition to calculating the ranking, I was happy to see that the research team also did a what-if competitiveness analysis. So this provides more qualitative perspective and adds in one more layer to the study, and thank you for that. And it also helps to answer the question like what needs to improve within the provinces. So that was that was a good effort in your part, and I appreciate that. And I'm not going over the rankings as Julia already presented that, but it was interesting to see that like the rankings maybe were expected, but it was interesting to see how Madhes was doing so well in terms of governance, and especially in terms of governance, right? But given they are always speaking for the provincial government, right? So it is kind of expected too, but it's good to see that some of the provinces are actually doing better under the provincial governance system, right? So I was happy to see that. And another indicator that was quite interesting to me was the governance. When it comes to governance, the issue of corruption is a big deal, right? And in order to address the issue of corruption, one of the indicators that was used in the report was number of court cases resolved, and that was tied to the instance of corruption, right? Number of court cases resolved over the year. So I found that quite impressive too, and thanks for linking that to corruption, because corruption is a big part of our governance system, and it's important that we, actually have indicators that show how well the country is doing. We have overall corruption index that's published by the Transparency International, but we did not have provincial indicators, and now we have it. So thank you for that as well, and I think that will be very beneficial for policy making as well as improving the governance point of view. And especially, as an economist, I'm looking into public expenditure and infrastructure sector, and the main issue why our infrastructure sector is lagging behind, why our country is not able to spend as much money, especially the capital expenditure, is because of governance issues, right? So it's important that the report connects economic issues with governance issues. So in the future, with new reports, I hope that you will add indicators that are more localized and valuable. So to conclude, so Nepal has completed the first 5 years institutionalizing federal governance, and during these first 5 years, the provinces put more focus on investment, on identifying each province. So, like the first 5 years was institutionalizing federalism, but the next 5 years, the provincial government will put more focus on investment and identifying strengths of the provinces and potential industrial areas. So, towards that end, this report will be very useful, especially in the ongoing second term of the provincial governments. In that sense, this report is very timely. And understanding the competitiveness of institutions will be mandatory in this second phase, as they are a special type of social structure with the potential to change the agents. So in that sense also, understanding the strength and weaknesses of our institutions will be valuable in this next 4 or 5 years, where the provincial governments will be spending more time planning for the economic growth of the provinces. So now I have a few suggestions for the future, right? Because as you mentioned earlier, this will be published every other year, right? So, few suggestions. First of all, one of the indicators that was used for government and institution environment was the balanced budget or budget balance, right? I know it's an important variable, but still, we have to understand that budget deficit is not always a bad thing. So rather than emphasizing on balanced budget all the time, maybe we have to look at balanced budget in a counter-cyclical way. Balancing the budget counter-cyclically will be more relevant than just looking at balanced budget. Because sometimes, for example, like a couple of years ago, our economy was going through COVID-19 or earthquake. During those adverse times, it's imperative that the governments will spend more, right? And it's needed. So during those years, it is okay if we have, if our government or provincial deficits goes up, right? But during normal times, budget deficit is not good. So in that sense, balancing the budget has to be counter-cyclical in nature. And another suggestion, so in addition to completely relying on quantitative methods, right, it is important that the indicators are investigated using some qualitative methods such as in-depth interviews, focus group discussions, participant observations. These qualitative methods will help add the human touch to the indicators, right? As well as it will provide in-depth insights. So it's important that we incorporate some qualitative methods. So that would be another. And my third suggestion would be learning from past mistakes, right? And here the example I'm giving, I believe you might have already guessed, right? So we have to learn from, for example, the controversy surrounding World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, right? So, why was it questioned? Because of issues related to data transparency. So, right from the onset, it's imperative that data is transparent. So, I hope you put emphasis on that right from the onset. And last suggestion, right now, the Nepal Competitiveness Index is adopting Asian competitive framework, right? So it's good that we are starting with some framework, right? But I hope in the future we'll localize the index to Nepali context even more, and will add some indicators and remove some if they are irrelevant. So I see this as a work in progress, and I see that it will improve over the years. So lastly, so best wishes to the research team in their future endeavors, and I wish you the best and congratulations on this important work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karnali, for your remarks and your valuable suggestions. We'll definitely keep in mind the suggestions while drafting the next editions of the NCI report. Now, as we mark towards the end of the second session, I would like to call up on stage Mr. Santosh Sharma Paudel to give his remarks and a vote of thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Ambassador Daniel Milby, Dr. Kalpana Khanal, Mr. Gajendra Lataki. And I'm so sorry it's not here. But firstly, I'd like to thank all the speakers for accepting our request and then coming here and speaking on an important topic. And thank you to the participants as well for the enthusiasm that we have shown on the issue. I think the participation here from the very background of people says that there is a lot of interest on governance issues in Nepal, especially on federalism. So that is a very big positive that we are going to take out of today's event. Now, to start with, let me also thank my NIPoRe team and the ACI team in Singapore for their 1.5 years of hard work to prepare this report. And also thanks to Sudurpaschim and Kathmandu, Nepal, for their contribution to the report with the special sort of pieces in the report itself. Now, to reiterate, today is the launch of the report. However, our task has only just begun. One nature of research, especially in policy research, is that once you have the report, one of the end targets is the government and the necessary changes or adjustments that are in the policy. So in that sense, our task has only just begun to take this research report and take it to places where we want to make some contribution in terms of policy discussion and hopefully in terms of policy changes as well. So in that sense, I expect all of you to support us for your continued support in this endeavor. Also, another aspect of research, policy research or research in general, is that we are open to your comments, suggestions, and so forth, be it on the methodology, be it on the report, so that in the next 2 years, when we have our next session, we have a more robust, it could be indicators, or it could be all the factors that you probably want to see in the next report. So in that sense, please feel free to write to us, to call us, or in some ways pass your comments that will help us improve our report for the upcoming years. Now with this, I'd like to thank you all again for participating in today's event. After this, there is lunch served outside. So together with the lunch, that would also serve as a sort of interaction sessions among participants. If you have any questions for us or for the speakers, please feel free to approach us outside. With that, I won't keep you long. There is lunch outside. Thank you for participating today, and thank you team for organizing this. Thank you.